It is true that Brittney Griner, once elected to not stand for the national anthem, particularly with the whole racial justice issues percolating throughout this country a few years back, during COVID, I might add. That is true. But is 10 months in a Moscow prison enough? Alex Stein, is that enough?
When I came into the league, people watch sports for three basic reasons: for rivalries, for games of consequence, and for household names, if you know the players. And we didn't have a lot of household names, even though we had amazing players back then and have amazing players beyond Caitlin and Angel.
Athletes, all athletes, transgender athletes be able to play.
Oh, I mean, that ranks high on the list of things that I'll be fighting for and speaking up against. You know, everyone deserves the right to play.
The WNBA just got rocked by a curveball nobody saw coming, and social media is in chaos. Stephen A. Smith jumped on air and dropped a bomb about Brittney Griner, talking about some so-called DNA test tied to her time in Russia. And let's just say the commissioner of the WNBA is heated. Now, before we dig deep, let's be clear. This isn't about throwing out baseless rumors. This is about what was actually said, the shockwaves it sent through fans, and why this could explode into one of the nastiest PR disasters the league has faced in years. And trust me, the drama only gets wilder from here. Remember, Brittney Griner already made worldwide headlines with that arrest and release in Russia.
I do think it's important to understand that there are millions of Americans who may not say anything, but do share his position. You were in the United States. You didn't want to stand for the national anthem. You wanted to protest some of the things that were going on in this country, which is obviously and totally your right. The flip side, however, is that there are an abundance of people, including many, because I know a few in the military who feel this way.
But this new twist drags the entire WNBA straight into controversy. The commissioner's silence is only fueling the fire, making people ask even more questions. The real issue isn't just, is this DNA test real? The bigger question is, how much more pressure can the WNBA take before sponsors, fans, and even the players themselves start demanding answers? Here's where the whole thing spun out of control. Stephen A. Yes, that's Stephen A., the loudest voice at ESPN, casually threw Brittney's name into a segment about truth in sports. Out of nowhere, he connected it back to her time in Russia, suggesting that a DNA test done over there revealed details the public was never told. The moment he said it, the vibe shifted instantly. This wasn't some random Twitter troll talking nonsense. This was Stephen A. live on national.
So rivalries are generally good for sports. In women's sports, sometimes it's complicated by the social media vitriol, which we denounce. It's terrible what some of these players have to endure. And so the hatred, the vitriol, the misogyny, the homophobia, the racism, there's no place for it in sport, and we like to be known in sport as a big uniter. So that's the negative part of that, but the positive certainly has been that people are watching. I mean, we brought tens of millions of new people into our sport last year.
TV, putting Brittney's name in a whole new storm of speculation. This wasn't some shady Reddit thread or a random post on X. This was Stephen A. Smith saying it loud on national TV in front of millions. And the way he delivered it, he didn't confirm it, but he sure didn't shut it down either. He just tossed it out there like bait, and within minutes, clips were everywhere on TikTok and X with fans shouting, "Did he really just say that about the WNBA?" That's the nightmare right there. Because when someone with Stephen A.'s reach repeats a rumor, even one that's already been debunked, it suddenly gets new life. And almost instantly, the spotlight swung to one person, WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelberg. Now, Cathy isn't just some background exec. She's the very first commissioner the league has ever had. She's been hustling hard, pushing for expansion, lining up.
They have her back now. This is her 8th game back as A'ja Wilson cleans it up inside. First points to the Aces.
There's been a couple of checks back and forth between Morrow and Smith out here.
Oh, what a pass. Wilson baseline fader, pretty. Tina Charles doing all she could. Help D just coming over as well. But A'ja Wilson, another.
Big sponsors and rebranding the WNBA to finally get the respect it's been chasing. She's the businesswoman at the center of the league's big glow-up. But here's where it gets messy. Her silence is loud. No press release, no quick, "we're aware of the chatter" statement. Not even a half-hearted dismissal. And in a storm like this, silence doesn't calm things down. It makes people think you've got something to hide. Fans are already whispering that her silence feels like full-blown panic mode. Because if the commissioner can't squash a rumor that's already been buried 100 times, then what does that say about the league's credibility? And here's the kicker. The WNBA is supposed to be in the middle of its biggest glow-up ever, but now it's being dragged into a scandal that could undo all that progress overnight. Ratings had just exploded.
Okay, explain. So you saved someone from...
We were off-roading, and this family flipped their side-by-side. They tried to stop it from flipping, put their legs out, and shin bone came through on the guy, and then the girl broke her ankle, and bone came through. Me and my friends, we jump off, we flipped it back, help them out. I take my shirt off, wrap it around the girl's leg. It's like pulling out blood, and no one would help them. And like, there was no cell reception. So we put them on our side-by-sides and we drove them out. And then we waited with them until the ambulance.
When was this?
This was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah.
Oh my God. And
crazy.
Are you're okay with blood and all the gory stuff?
Yeah.
You have to be.
Yeah, I am.
Oh my God.
With that, yeah.
Was that the last time you felt like a hero?
Yeah, I really felt like a hero in that moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a crazy story.
By more than 170%. And for the first time in years, the WNBA was finally winning big. The league had just dropped its first new team since 2008, the Golden State Valkyrie. And suddenly, the talk wasn't about empty seats or failing franchises. It was about sold-out arenas, viral highlights, and new money pouring in. Sponsors were lining up. TV networks were giving the league prime coverage. And for once, the hype actually felt real. But instead of the world buzzing about the Valkyrie's historic debut or...
Swaggy, Brittney, let me see something real quick. Brick, thank you. Get the out of here, yo. Jab stepping, just a brick. Swing and a miss. Oh! Yo, I ain't gonna fake it right now.
Aja Wilson chasing her third MVP trophy. What's dominating the conversation online? Brittney Griner's voice, her body, and a wild conspiracy about some Russian DNA test that has zero proof behind it.
What's your mood?
Happy.
Well, are you ready for a flight?
Yes.
Yes. Good.
It's almost like the league's biggest win is being hijacked by its most scandalous distraction. And the internet? Oh, it ran with it. Right in the middle of the WNBA's big opening week celebration, a random courtside video of Brittney Griner went viral on TikTok and X. She wasn't doing anything outrageous, just chatting with someone. But the audio picked up how deep her voice really is. Just watch this clip and you'll get it, fans kept saying, as millions of views piled up within hours. Now here's the thing. People who followed Brittney for years already know this isn't new. She's always had that voice. She's talked.
You're 6'9" now. You said even in middle school you were towering over everybody, and that your voice started getting deeper. You weren't developing like the other girls, and that your parents took you to a doctor.
So they really wanted to make sure I didn't have a tumor on my pituitary gland. I don't know, at one point I was kind of like, can we stop? Because it like doesn't feel the best, and I felt like a lab rat a little bit.
From middle school to today, Brittney writes she has been mistaken for being male, enduring endless teasing and taunts.
When you're born with a body like mine, a part of you dies every day. With every mean comment and lingering stare, you're the biggest person in the room, but you're also the loneliest. Not a lot of people understand what it is to walk in my shoes. Literally, they're big shoes to fill. But I just feel so isolated at times.
Was basketball a way that you felt seen? It was a home for you?
Yeah, no, it was definitely a home for me. I could be the way I was intended to be, and that's big and different.
About it publicly, and it's been part of her journey since she was a teenager. But for casual viewers who don't know her like that, it was shocking. And the comments under that video said everything. The comments went wild. People were straight up saying, yeah, that's a dude. He gets to dunk on women all day and then change with them in the locker room. This nonsense has to end. Trolls doubled down, piling on with posts like, that's a dude. Never one time ever have I thought otherwise. They were twisting it as so-called proof, feeding the same tired conspiracy Stephen A. had just reignited on live TV. And the trolls weren't finished. As soon as that voice clip went viral, they went digging through old footage and dragged out that infamous pool video, the one where Brittney's shirtless, which has been floating around online for years. Every time her name trends, it gets recycled like it's brand new, and this time was no different. Fans rushed in to defend her, but trolls kept pushing the narrative, shifting the spotlight back on her body instead of her game with Atlanta. And here's where the whole mess really ties back: Russia. You remember 2022, Brittney's arrest at Moscow airport for vape cartridges, the 9-year sentence, and the global headlines that followed until the high-profile prisoner swap brought her home. The world was watching every second, and the very first clips of her after that swap, they were instantly dissected, picked apart, and added to the same conspiracy chatter. But here's the truth people always forget. Brittney has already spoken about this years before Russia, years before Stephen A. even hinted at it. Back in 2015, she sat down for an ESPN feature and opened up about her voice, explaining how it's always been deeper than most girls her age. She admitted it made her insecure growing up, even saying she hated the way she sounded as a kid. She revealed that as a kid, classmates would mock her non-stop for being tall, for not developing like other girls, and for sounding like a boy. That wasn't gossip. That was her reality. And it's something that's weighed on her since her teenage years. If you actually listen to her old interviews, you can hear how much it stung. She even admitted she used to avoid speaking in certain settings just so she wouldn't have to sit through the cruel jokes. Fast forward nearly a decade, and honestly, nothing has really changed. In 2024, Brittney dropped her memoir, Coming Home, where she dug even deeper into what it felt like to grow up in a body the world never let her just exist in. She exposed how the criticism followed her everywhere, from classrooms to basketball courts. And now, years later, trolls are still using the same insecurities she already confessed to against her, twisting her story into a circus all over again. In her memoir, Brittney laid it all out. How kids mocked her for her height, her chest, and yes, her voice. She said they told her she sounded like a grown man before she even hit high school. And that's exactly what makes this whole Stephen A. situation so brutal. When he casually drops a line about some so-called DNA test, he's not just throwing shade at any random player. He's ripping open the very wound Brittney has spoken about in her own words for years. And here's the thing, Kathy Engelberg can't dodge this one. She's the face of the league, the one who's been selling the world on the WNBA's breakout season. Sponsors are lining up, ticket sales are surging, and she's pitching this as the future of women's sports. But now, the headlines aren't about the Golden State Valkyries' debut or Caitlin Clark pulling record ratings. They're about Brittney Griner's body and a rumor Stephen A. just handed the internet on a silver platter. The real question isn't if the league responds, it's what happens if they stay quiet. Because 2025 was supposed to be the year the WNBA finally leveled up. But with Brittney stuck at the center of another storm, this could go down as the season defined not by triumph, but by the controversy Kathy Engelberg prayed would never resurface. So what do you think? Should the league speak up or stay silent? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.